You know that moment when your entire world shifts on its axis? I'm Linda, and I'm 62 years old. Tomorrow I was going to sign my divorce papers after 33 years of marriage to Charles. The marriage had been dead for years anyway. Charles and I had become strangers, sharing the same house, the same last name, but nothing else. No warmth, no conversation, no intimacy. Just two people going through the motion. I remember the exact moment everything changed. It was 9:47 p.m. as I sat in my kitchen, stirring honey into my chamomile tea. The house was eerily quiet. Charles was upstairs in his study, probably watching those mindless action movies he'd grown obsessed with. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca, my best friend since college. Linda, we need to talk. Call me. Rebecca never texted like that. She was dramatic, verbose, the kind of person who sent paragraph-long messages. This was different. This was serious. My hands trembled as I dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. Linda. Her voice was strained, careful. Rebecca, what's wrong? There was a long pause. I don't know how to tell you this. I've been wrestling with it for hours, but you deserve to know the truth, especially before you sign those papers tomorrow. My heart started pounding. Just tell me. I was at the Marriott downtown today for lunch. I saw Jessica, your daughter-in-law. She was coming out of the elevator from the hotel floors upstairs, and she wasn't alone. Jessica, my son Michael's wife of 8 years. Beautiful, charming Jessica, who called me Mom Linda and brought homemade cookies to family dinners. Who was she with? Another pause. Charles. Linda. She was with Charles. The words hit me like a physical blow. I gasped, gripping the counter. That's impossible. This was at 2 o'clock this afternoon. They looked intimate. Her hair was messed up, his shirt wrinkled. When they saw me, the look on their faces, pure guilt. I felt like I was drowning. Jessica, my daughter-in-law, the mother of my grandchildren, with Charles, my husband, the man I was divorcing because he had become cold and uninterested in intimacy. Apparently, he wasn't uninterested in intimacy, just not with me. Are you sure? I'm sure, honey. I'm so sorry. I couldn't let you sign those papers without knowing. The betrayal was devastating in ways I was only beginning to understand. It wasn't just that Charles was cheating. It was that he was cheating with Jessica, with my son's wife, with someone I had loved like the daughter I never had. And the timing, the day before our divorce. Had this been going on for months? Had they been counting down the days until I was out of the picture? After I hung up, I sat in that kitchen for hours, staring at my reflection in the black window. The woman looking back looked tired, defeated, broken. But as I sat there, something else began to emerge beneath the hurt and shock. Anger. Cold, calculating anger. And then something even more dangerous. A plan. Because Charles and Jessica had no idea that I knew. They thought they were safe, that their secret was secure. They thought they had won. They had no idea that the game was just beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, listening to Charles's breathing beside me. The same man who had been with another woman just hours earlier. As dawn crept through our curtains, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I wasn't going to scream or cry or make a scene. That's what they would expect. Instead, I was going to do something much more devastating. I was going to let them think they were getting away with it. At the lawyer's office, I sat across from Charles, watching him sign document after document with steady hand. He looked calm, almost relieved. This was supposed to be one of the most difficult days of both our lives, and he looked like a man signing a business contract. Linda, Patricia's voice cut through my observation. We need your signature. I looked down at the papers. This was it. This was the moment I was supposed to officially end my marriage. But now I knew something that changed everything. This divorce wasn't just the end of a failed marriage. It was Charles's ticket to freedom with Jessica. I could stop this right now, but that would tip my hand. Everything looks fine, I said finally, and signed my name. Charles visibly relaxed. Well, that's that. That's that, I agreed. The beginning of a whole new chapter. If only he knew how true that was. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a detective in my own life. I paid attention to Charles's mysterious phone call, his new workout routine, his overnight business trips that coincided with Michael's travel. But I also gathered evidence. Charles never knew I'd figured out the password to our shared cell phone account. Location data told a clear story. Doctor's appointments that weren't with doctors, shopping trips with no purchases. I hired a private investigator named Marcus. dates. Within a week, he had photos, receipts, hotel registrations, and a timeline that painted a crystal-clear picture. The affair had been going on for 8 months. 8 months of planning, sneaking, lying. Marcus had captured them entering and leaving hotels, restaurants. The photos showed unmistakable intimacy. Marcus gave me something even more valuable. Dates. Specific dates when Jessica had lied to Michael about her whereabouts. When she had supposedly been visiting her sick mother while actually being at hotels with my husband. The final piece came from Charles himself. He was using our shared laptop to book hotel reservations. The confirmation was right there. The Marriott downtown. Multiple reservations, dating back months. The most recent reservation was for this Friday, tomorrow. They were planning another rendezvous, thinking they were finally free. I stared at that email, feeling something cold settle into my chest. They thought the hard part was over. They had no idea their truth was about to become everyone else's truth, too. I sent a group text to carefully chosen recipients. Michael, my sister Karen, Charles's brother David, Rebecca, and Jessica's parent. I need to share something important with all of you. Can we meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. at my house? It's urgent. Michael called within minutes. Mom, what's going on? I just have some news to share with the family. But Michael, I need you to make sure Jessica comes with you. Jessica? Mom, she's not really family anymore. She's still your wife, still the mother of my grandchildren. Please, it's important. One by one, they all agreed to come. At 12:30, Friday, I sent Charles a text. Hope you're having a good day. He texted back, thanks, Linda. You too. I knew exactly where he was. Marcus had confirmed Charles had checked into the Marriott at 11 a.m. Jessica's location showed the same address. At 2 p.m. exactly, my living room was full. Michael and Jessica sat together on the sofa. Karen claimed the armchair. David stood near the fireplace. Jessica's parents perched on the love seat. Rebecca sat in the corner, watching me with knowing eyes. Thank you all for coming, I began. I know this is unusual. Jessica smiled at me with that warm smile she'd been giving me for 8 years. Of course, Mom Linda. We're family. Yes, I said quietly. We are family, and that's why this is so important. I walked over to the coffee table where I had placed a manila envelope. Inside were copies of Marcus's photo, printed in vivid color, hotel receipts, location data, every hotel reservation Charles had made. Over the past few weeks, I have learned some things that I need to share with all of you. Michael leaned forward. Mom, what is it? I looked directly at Jessica. Jessica, where were you yesterday afternoon? Around noon to 4 p.m. The smile faltered. Yesterday? I was shopping mostly. Where did you shop? Just around. The mall Target. She laughed nervously. Why? Because I have information that suggests you were somewhere else entirely. I pulled out the first photograph, crystal clear. Charles and Jessica entering the Marriott Hotel together. Her hand on his back. The room went completely silent. This was taken yesterday at 12:15 p.m., I said conversationally. At the Marriott downtown. Jessica's face went white. Michael stared at the photo, mouth open. But maybe this was just a coincidence, I continued, pulling out another photo. Maybe you were having an innocent lunch. The second photo showed them in the hotel elevator. Charles's arm around Jessica's waist, her face turned up toward his with unmistakable intimacy. Jessica made a small sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. And this, I said, producing a third photo, was taken at 4:17 p.m. when you left together. Their hair was disheveled, clothes wrinkled. There was no question about what they had been doing. Mom, Michael whispered, what is this? This is your wife, Michael, having an affair with your father. An affair that has been going on for 8 months. The words hung in the air. Jessica started crying, harsh, ugly sobs. Martha gasped. David swore under his breath. 8 months, I repeated, pulling out more photos. 8 months of lie, of betraying not just me, but all of you. Michael stood up, his face flushed with anger. Jessica, tell me this isn't true. Jessica looked up at him, mascara streaking her face. For a moment, I thought she might deny it. Instead, she crumpled. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Michael. I never meant for this to happen. 8 months isn't innocent, Michael shouted. 8 months is a choice. I held up a hand. Actually, Michael, there's something else you need to know. I pulled out the reservation confirmations, showing the pattern going back months. Your father didn't just have an affair with your wife. He planned our entire divorce around this affair. They've been waiting for me to be out of the way. I looked around the room and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Charles thinks he's at a business meeting right now, but he's at the Marriott with Jessica, probably celebrating their freedom. Michael's face was beyond anger. He's there now? Room 714. Checked in this morning. Michael reached for his keys. I'm going down there. No, I said firmly. You're not, because that would make you the bad guy. And you're not the bad guy, Michael. They are. I walked over to my son. If you go down there, you become the angry, violent husband. You become the reason their affair was justified. But we're going to do this the right way. I turned back to the room. Here's what's going to happen. David, you're going to call Charles. Tell him there's a family emergency, that he needs to come here immediately. Tell him I've had some kind of medical episode. Make it sound serious but not life-threatening. Something he can't ignore. Understanding dawned on David's face. You want him to leave her there. Exactly. And Jessica, you're going to call him in 10 minutes. Tell him you've had a family emergency, too. Your mother's been in an accident. Jessica looked confused through her tears. I don't understand. You're going to make them choose, in real time, which lie is more important. When they both show up here, separately, having abandoned each other, everyone will watch them realize they've been caught. That's, Rebecca started. Cruel? Yes, it is, but it's also justice. They've been playing games with our lives. Now they get to play one final game, and they don't get to win. David made the call masterfully. Charles? It's David. I'm at Linda's house, and we have a situation. She collapsed. She's conscious, but keeps asking for you. How soon can you get here? He hung up. He's leaving right now. Sounded genuinely worried. 5 minutes later, Jessica made her call, genuinely crying. Charles, something terrible happened. My mother fell down the stairs. I have to leave right now. She hung up. He wanted to come with me. He was going to leave his family emergency to drive with me. But you told him no. I told him you needed him more. She laughed bitterly. He said he loved me, while supposedly rushing to check on you. He told me he loved me. Michael made a sound like he'd been punched. For 25 minutes, we sat in silence. Finally, David called out. He's here. Charles burst into the living room. Linda, are you okay? David said. He stopped when he saw me standing there, clearly fine, surrounded by our family. His eyes moved to the photos scattered across the coffee table. What's going on? Sit down, Charles. Where's Jessica? Jessica had a family emergency. Her mother was hurt. I picked up the photo showing them leaving the hotel. No, Charles, she didn't. She was with you, at the Marriott, room 714, just like she has been every Friday for 8 months. The color drained from his face. He sank into a chair. How did you think you were going to get away with it? Linda, I can explain. No, there is no explanation for betraying your wife of 33 years with your son's wife. Charles looked desperately at Michael. Son, Don't call me son. You lost that right. When David called you today, what went through your mind? I asked. I was worried about you. Despite everything, I still care. And when Jessica called 10 minutes later crying about her mother? Understanding dawned. Oh God, what did you do? I gave you a choice. The same choice you've been making for 8 months, except in public. I pulled out a legal document. You have 2 choices. Walk away from Jessica permanently, and we'll pretend this never happened, or choose to be with Jessica and face the consequences. What consequences? Michael divorces Jessica and sues for full custody. I sue both of you for emotional distress. Everyone gets to know exactly who you both really are. For a long moment, the only sound was the ticking of the clock. Charles stood up. I need to talk to Jessica first. No, Michael said. You don't get to drag this out. Choose, I said quietly. Right now, in front of everyone. Charles looked around the room one more time, his eyes finally landing on Michael, his son. I choose Jessica, he said quietly. The words fell into silence like stone. Michael nodded slowly. Then you're no longer my father, and Jessica is no longer my wife. He turned to me. Mom, I'll need that lawyer's number and copies of all this evidence. Of course, sweetheart. And that's when the front door opened, and Jessica walked in. She looked around, trying to understand what had happened. The emergency was fake, she said slowly. Yes, but Charles, you chose to leave me at the hotel to come here. You chose Linda over me. Charles looked like his world was collapsing. Jessica, I didn't know. After 8 months of promises about how much you loved me, when it came down to a choice, you picked her? She turned to me. You orchestrated this to make us look like fools. No, Jessica. I orchestrated this to show everyone who you both really are. Michael, she said desperately. I know this looks bad, but I love you. We can fix this. We? Michael laughed bitterly. There is no we anymore. You destroyed that the first time you got into bed with my father. He turned to Charles. You made your choice. You chose her over your family. So congratulations. You got Jessica. Now get out and don't ever come back. Charles and Jessica stood there, realizing they had gotten exactly what they thought they wanted, and it wasn't what they wanted at all. This isn't over, Charles said finally. I'm not destroying your life, Charles, I replied evenly. You did that yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows who's responsible. And with that, they left left, walking out together, leaving behind the wreckage of 2 families and 33 years of what I had once believed was love. After they were gone, Michael spoke. "Mom, I'm sorry you had to go through this. You have nothing to apologize for. What do I get out of this? Get to start over. Find someone who deserves you. Build a new family with someone who actually loves you. And what do you get?" I looked around at the people who were still there, who had chosen to stay. I get my real family. I get to know who people really are and move forward with only the ones worth keeping. 6 months later, I was in my garden, watching my grandchildren play, when Michael updated me on his divorce. Jessica's still hoping to avoid a full trial. What do you think? She's realizing that having an affair with my father won't look good to a judge. Charles and Jessica had lasted exactly 3 months. It turned out that a relationship built on lies wasn't sustainable in daylight. When they couldn't get high off fooling everyone, the magic disappeared. Charles had moved to Florida, unable to face living where everyone knew what he'd done. His reputation was destroyed. "Do you ever regret it?" Michael asked. I considered the question. "No, I don't regret it. Even though it destroyed Dad, your father destroyed himself. I just made sure he couldn't take anyone else down with him." As I watched my grandchildren play, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the peace of forgetting, but the peace of justice. The game was over. I had won, and my real family was built on truth instead of lies. That evening, Michael texted, "Thanks for everything, Mom. I love you." I smiled and typed back, "I love you too, sweetheart." For the first time in years, I would sleep peacefully, with no secrets lurking, no lies waiting to surface. The truth had set us all free. It had been a long game, a patient game, but it had been worth it. Because in the end, the truth always wins. It just sometimes needs a little help getting there.